Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so we have some visual look on Go. Thanks to Alpha, he went into a testing phase and he actually did a comparison with every other breaker, making it even with having the game gear sets and whatnot. The same gear sets, not the game gear sets, the same gear sets, and of course, I'll leave the link down below to its entirety, so if you guys do want to watch it and see every breaker and kind of make your own assessments on how you feel about Go, then you can do so. I've watched this video a few times just to get a real good idea on how I truly feel about Go himself, of course. And obviously on paper I did say that, you know, his initial kit does kind of look slightly mid, and I'm still standing by that, but it's the passives that actually make this unit decent. We'll say that makes him decent. So now it's just coming down to, like, damn, he does require dupes. Is it worth it? Because obviously with the previous video that I've uploaded, we now know we've got 2 new SSRs releasing for the next update. We've got Gina that's going to be releasing for October. God knows what's going to be happening when the half anniversary releases in 2 months time. So it's kind of stacked with what's to come. So you have to really now just kind of figure out, is Go really that worth it? Can Yunho just kind of keep continuously kicking ass? Because he's still a damn good breaker, and obviously with how quick he can break bars, it is pretty quick in my personal opinion. But I'll play Go's gameplay, and I'll show a little bit of Yunho, of course. But yeah, again, if you want to see the entirety of the video and see all the breakers getting compared, you're more than welcome to. No, wait, hold on a minute. I don't think all the breakers are in here, but you guys can watch the video and assess it yourself. Now, I will say, obviously with Go having the whole week across the board break on his kit, that was a bit of a lackluster situation, and I did mention that even though it is a week, his break effectiveness percentage with the A2 is where he really does capitalize on actually being one of the most cracked breakers, of course, and I still stand by that. So that's why I say that obviously with his initial kit looks kind of mid, his passive is where he truly comes out of his shell and starts swinging. So there's that. Now, in terms of his damage output, I would say it looks a little bit lackluster at the very beginning, but once you get that second skill in effect, and once those boosts start rolling in, it's the boost that really does bring Go out of his shell in order for him to do that good amount of damage. If we can cater to the crit side of things and obviously keep buffing up his defense so he can scale off that, then I think ultimately we could get something cooking for Go himself to do some decent amount of damage going on. My aim for Go is I feel like we can get him on Jiwoo's level. With the way that we catered with Jiwoo and with how I've kind of gone about building her, where she does a ton of damage, of course, and predominantly building her in that HP scaling whilst crit managing, I feel like we can replicate that for Go. So even though in the testing phase I'm not exactly that happy with the damage output he's dishing out, I feel like ultimately we can do better than that. And again, if you've built up your Jiwoo in that crit manner, then I feel like, again, you can replicate that for Go, which is going to be somewhat solid, which I'm hoping we can do that. And then from all of that, the buffs that he can apply, not just for himself and his teammates, and then obviously taking into consideration the passives, of course. I think with Go, if you involve the passives, then we're looking at a fantastic Rise Festival. Initially, with the free character that we get of Go being his kit just itself with no passive, looks very mid, and at that point I would suggest just cater to Yunho, to be honest. This man in question, there'll be more success for him to be garnered over Go with just it being his initial kit. Once you go into the passives, then you can start cooking with Go. That's my final takeaway from between the 2 light characters in question, of course. I do like the buffs that Go provides, I will say, once we start getting into the passive. So that's why I say, if you go into the passive side of things for Go, then you'll start cooking, and I would suggest him over Yunho for the light team. But with everything that's coming up with the half anniversary, I know some people want to save, and so in that case, if you do have Yunho nicely built up through passive, because again he was here since day 1 for solo leveling Rise, so maybe some of you guys have copies of him. You've also got the good SRs that some of you guys have probably already built up. You can hand on hand still go about using those as your breakers and be a-okay, due to the fact that Go does require dupes. So yeah, again, upon watching the footage, I wasn't overly like, oh my god, he's broken. It was more of a gasp to be like, okay, he's not as bad as we think. He's actually somewhat decent. And then it's just like, damn, okay, he also requires some dupes. So just as I said when I was comparing him between him and Hansemi, I would still say Kate to Hansemi, just an FYI if you guys do want to summon. But with Go, I think A2 is where we would need to get him at So not only are we gaining from the buffs for the team and for himself, especially with the Fragment Rebellion Light, for him to do more damage, because that's where it's truly going to be coming from, but to also furthermore cater to the break, because that's basically his main job, right? To get the breaks going. A2 is where it's going to be at. But to make him that Arise Festival, to make him the Arise Festival type of character, yeah, you are looking into furthermore catering into the man. That's what sucks. And this is what I mean about how the developers could have done his initial kit in a better manner compared to the way that they've done it here, where it's just like, it's the dupes that make him the Arise Festival. Because as it stands with his initial kit, this is just a typical update release character, in my personal opinion, you know? So, yeah, seeing the gameplay, it's fair to say that the passives are required. So with that being said, you know, if you've got the other breakers juiced up, duped up, you know, you'll do just as fine. I would suggest at that point, obviously for free to play, light spenders, etc., you know, just run with your free copy and focus on what's to come ahead. As I've mentioned, 2 new dark characters, Gina coming in October, sorry, half anniversary happening in November, and then we've got Goto Yuji along with potentially kind of dropping for December. So 2 characters. So there's a lot to come in the future for me to actually suggest you guys to be like, if you're not interested and if you're happy with your other light breakers, you can skip. If you don't want to go for the dupes, because this man will require dupes, 100%. Yeah, that's my final thoughts. That's how I feel about after seeing what Alpha has provided us.